Obviously, he can tell time because it's exactly 6:30.
It is. I was hoping, I don't see our friends of the East River Esplanade person here, so I'm gonna, if we don't mind, I'm gonna give her one more minute while I text her.
Fine.
Would you like me to give the pre-meeting talking points?
That sounds great. I'm gonna mute myself and then you can just unmute me. Thank you.
Okay. Well, welcome everyone. If this is your first time joining us for one of our virtual committee meetings, welcome. You'll notice that you are muted and you're going to remain muted throughout the entirety of the meeting, and except for whenever the committee co-chairs, Tricia or Barry, call on you. Following any presentations or agenda items, the co-chairs will call on members of the public who wish to speak. You can participate by going to the reactions icon at the bottom of your screen and pressing the raise hand button there. It's not the wave or the thumbs up button, those will disappear. Only press the raise hand button once. If you press it a second time, your hand will go back down. Now, if you're calling in from the phone, it's *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute. Be on the lookout for a prompt asking you to confirm unmuting once the co-chairs call on you. And the chat is available for technical support to help with the Zoom software. It is not to ask questions of the co-chairs or the presenters. They will never see those chats. If you're using an older version of Zoom, you may need to go to the participants section at the bottom of your screen, where you'll find the raise hand feature there. And finally, please do not raise your actual hand or wave at the screen because we may not be able to see you. You can always chat us if you have any problems. With that, I'll give it back over to Barry and Tricia.
We're going to wait one more minute and then we'll get started.
Great. And Stacy just texted me saying that her link is loading very slowly, but she should be on shortly. I see that we have, we do not have Mickey Mouse here, but we do have Rami here, one of our new board members. So welcome, Rami. And we'll just give everybody just one more minute to start, if that's okay.
Certainly. All right, let's get started. Good evening. Welcome to the September meeting of Community Board 8's Parks and Waterfront Committee. I'm Barry Schneider, co-chair.
Hi, everybody, and I'm Tricia Shimamura, the other co-chair. Will, I'm just going to text you Stacy Pappas's number. She's asking me if you could send her the dial-in info. That would be great.
Okay.
Maybe we can go instead to the second agenda item and just talk about Rupert Park. So it's nice to see all of you guys again, and I hope you all had a safe and healthy August. It's normally this committee meets every month, and in this last year, I feel like we've been trying to hear from our conservancies a little bit more. So we had Carl Schurz Park Conservancy come to us just at the start of the summertime. We're going to have Friends of the East River Esplanade tonight talk to us. Stacy Pappas, their executive director, is just dialing in. But until she gets here, maybe we can skip to our second item, which is just really updates on Rupert Park. So at the start of the summer, there was an announcement of funds going to Rupert Park. Rupert selfishly and personally used to be my park when we lived on 90th Street. It's always been Rita's park, one of our board members who's worked really long and hard at taking care of the area. So was just hoping that Rita could give us a little bit of a readout of how the summer has been going in Rupert, If our Muslim volunteers are here, I'm not sure if they are here tonight, but that we will always be sending updates on events that they're having over the summertime. But maybe Rita, we'll kick it off to you if you just want to give a quick readout of the scoping session that happened at the start of the summer, and then just any other updates.
I actually need Teddy to be the tester at Rupert Park. At any rate, I have not been in park for a long time, and a lot of us haven't. And so there is a woman who's on the board of Carl Schurz Park, who has an email blast to Upper East Side Mommy. And what we did is that we sent out, and I sent all of you that I had your emails, exactly what those women said. I had no idea that there was a mosquito problem, which Barry very nicely said that he talked to Steve Simon about. And of course, we know about the rodents. And because this park is so covered with earth, there is a lot of place for them to bore. And that's it. So basically what every mother wanted was a bathroom. We have costed out, it's prohibitive. However, a single bathroom, which is better than none, is about $132,000. So we are trying to work that into, with your help, work it into our largesse that we have, which is almost $9 million. And the parents were telling us what they want. There are two things that, and parents were aware that there is going to be a dog run. And so therefore it wasn't repetitive, because in the scoping session that we had, it seemed to be attended by mostly dog owners. And those parents bore out what I have been saying of what I watch from my window as to where dogs actually go. Their owners take them up to where the children play, let them relieve themselves and go out. The other thing about sledding, we have sledding right next. We have the best sledding hill in New York, because there's no traffic on it or anything, right next to Rupert Park. I can't see devoting any part of the park to something that may or may not happen during the year. It's like, maybe it won't snow this winter. So at any rate, everybody stay in a loop of what you want, what you hope to have, but we have to listen to the parents who are actually using the park. And they were very verbal in what they wanted. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Just to loop, so just to catch other folks up, and welcome to everybody who is just joining us, or if this is your first parks meeting. Just to catch you up a little bit, Rupert Park is right there between 90th and 91st Street on 2nd Avenue. In July, I believe, our Councilmember Ben Kalos announced $2.4 million investment in the park, which goes along with additional funds, which will hopefully be up to around, I think that they estimated all the costs to be around $10 million to renovate. Even $10 million, unfortunately, is still not enough to do everything that a large space like that could do. But they did have one scoping session. You can stay updated on the project through coming to these meetings or reaching out to our district office, or even talking to Ben Kalos's office. But hopefully after they receive comments from the community and from the public, after they held a scoping session, the next step in this process is for the Parks Department to come back to Community Board 8 and to this committee to present what they think is possible in that space for us to sorry, that's my son next to me, what they think is possible for that space. Yes, Barbara. You're good, Barbara.
I'm a little confused because all these years I've heard the major thing is the irrigation, the fact the water isn't there, that they can't have shrubs. I haven't heard about a bathroom before. Is there any way of knowing what the scoping session actually talked about? I mean, and where would the dog run be? It wouldn't be where they're going now, I have to hope strongly.
So the scoping session, I mean, I can let Rita talk about it too. I'll just say, you know, the scoping, I don't remember if anybody mentioned, I feel like there was one person who mentioned the need for a bathroom there. I can certainly see it as a parent myself. There right now, I think what's there is just the storage shed that's there that holds supplies there. You know, I think that there was a really good dialogue, frankly. You know, we've always been afraid of the conversation I think that there's always been this perceived tension between the dog owners and the families, but I think everybody kind of recognized that the space as is designed was not meant for dogs. So it's not good for dogs right now. It's not good for families right now, but the hope would be, as Rita said, that there could be spaces for both. But maybe Rita, you can add to that. You're unmuted, Rita.
Rita, you can go ahead.
Hi. We asked the parents what they wanted, and the irrigation problem, Barbara, went away 100 years ago. There hasn't been a drop of water in that park in at least the last 10 years. That's not what the park needs. And if you'd like to come by, we could take a walk through the park.
I would love it.
Right, yeah, come, we'll walk.
I'll call you tomorrow.
Okay, I have it.
I walk in there, but I'm not walking in there with the same eyes that you are.
Okay. It's a 4-leaf clover park, and only 1 clover is for the children and 2 clovers are for the dogs. So we sent out an email blast to the parents who use that park for their children as to what they want, and unanimously everybody said that they wanted a bathroom. I sent the answers. I sent the whole dialogue from the parents to everybody who was on the committee so that you would see the answers directly. I had no idea that there was such a mosquito problem, but every single parent had a problem with mosquitoes. And today a woman showed me how bitten she is. And I face the park, and generally if there's a lot of mosquitoes, I will see it on my window screen. I have not seen any, but obviously it's a problem, and the rodents are a problem because there's so much greenery in that park, and the trees, not one tree will come down. We really definitely have the most trees of any park, small park. So that's where we are. So come and we'll see.
I would like to take a walk. I'm taking you up on it, Rita.
No, seriously,
I'm serious, Rita. I'm serious.
I'm telling you, tomorrow morning I have a 10 o'clock with Mr. Malampy, who used to be on our board, because he's coming up to check the sound system for his play. So if you want to meet at 11, we can meet at 11 tomorrow morning.
I'll call you at 11 and see how everything is. Great.
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Listening to this for years, and this is new stuff. I mean, it's been years that we've been talking about this. And
yeah. Great. Well, okay. So I think Judy, unless anybody else has any other questions about Rupert, thank you, Rita, for giving us a heads up. Thank you, Barry, for following up with Wes on the mosquito issue there. And let's see if we can, I mean, I can only imagine all this water makes it worse. But would thank you, Wes, for whatever you guys can do to spray or to however you handle the mosquitoes. But we'll go to Judy before we go back to our first item.
I'd like to make a motion or suggest that we write a letter, however you want to handle it, to Steve Simon at Parks, that a bathroom be included in the rehabilitation of the parks. Because in that list that Parks sent us after the meeting, which I can attach to the minutes if people want as a reminder, I believe there was no bathroom included in it. So I think we should make him aware of this. So I don't know if you want to do it by motion or you want to just write a letter or how you want to do it.
Tricia, what's your thought?
I'm a little nervous about passing a resolution just because I don't feel like we didn't post in Rupert. So I didn't, so this wasn't like but I completely agree with you. Rita already sent over the comments, but Rita, if you think it's appropriate, and Barry, if you agree, I'm happy. I think that we can certainly like sign a letter together saying that in our conversation and in the remarks and comments like received from Rita that we are made aware that there's a large stakeholder population that is interested in having a bathroom as part of the redesign.
Yeah, I agree. There should be a letter, and the letter should give some history of how this how the list came about and who the participants were and what the primary concern of those people was a restroom for the park. And I'll draft something. We'll get it out promptly.
Okay.
Thank you, Mrs. Schneider.
I also have one other comment. Rita's comment about the cost of a restroom was totally estimated. I think that we're talking minimum of at least $1 million for rest facilities. They just redid 24 Sycamores Park. That was an existing building. And we've looked into at St. Catherine's redoing that. So I think, but with $9 million, they should be able to work a restroom into there.
Okay, I believe Rita can comment, but I believe Rita said that she spoke to Ben Kalos's folks who priced it out and said that it was that price. I mean, Rita, you can respond, but I'd rather us go directly to the source. Go ahead, Rita. Will, can you?
There's only one bathroom. It's not a slew of bathrooms. It's not boys, girls. It's unisex because that's all we can afford. And whatever was sent to me, I will forward to Tricia and Barry. And for the cost of that, I really read the email rather quickly. I know that it was about $130,000 just for one stall, but one is better than none.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Rita.
We'll include all of that stuff in the letter. Thanks, Rita, and thanks, Judy. Okay. Moving on to our first agenda item. For those new board members, again, and for those new to this committee, we are lucky enough to have a conservancy in most of our Friends of group or some sort of stewardship group in all of our parks. And we partner with them a lot and would like, and it's been a real goal of, I know mine and Barry's, to strengthen our relationship between these groups because they are the groups on the ground taking care of these beloved open spaces. A couple months back, we heard, and I apologize for my screaming child. A couple months back, we heard from friends of the Carl Schurz Park Conservancy about the work that they're doing, and we thought that it would be a great way to start out the fall to hear from friends of the East River Esplanade. A group that I'd like to, that I'm very proud that we have a good and long-standing relationship with. But Stacy, welcome, and would love to hear updates from you about what's going on at Friends and what we are here should expect to see in the fall.
Hi. Thanks so much for that lovely introduction. And thank you for your flexibility and understanding my technical difficulties tonight. So I'm happy to be here. So we have a couple of things going on. Early in the summer, I told you guys that we had ordered 2 Big Belly trash cans. They are on delay because of carrier issues and shipping issues. So I was expecting them this month. I'm still expecting them next week. I haven't heard otherwise, but since I haven't heard, I'm expecting that maybe they'll be here next month. But as soon as they come in, I'll work with Wes and we'll figure out placement and where they're going to go. So that's pretty exciting news. And they are 250-gallon capacity cans. So the trash issue should be hopefully alleviated. We are starting our fall programs September 18th. The first one is going to be, the whole series is called Autumn at ACOC. And our first one is going to be live music with Bash the Trash. And they are a group that creates musical instruments out of trash. And so they're going to put on 2 performances for us. And La New Yorkina is going to provide us with some refreshments. And so this is free and open to the community on September 18th from 1 to 4 p.m. I know in the past we've done craft projects. We eliminated that this year because we thought it wasn't a great idea to, sort of force kids to be together in small groups, given what's going on with the Delta variant and everything else. So we're just having music and refreshments, wide open space, lots of room for people to hang out, have a good time on the Saturday afternoon. And then after that, we'll have 3 more in October on the 2nd, the 16th, and the 30th. And we're putting out posters. You'll see posters up. We've got social media going. We'll have different bands, but La New Yorkina will be there giving refreshments. And as the weather cools, we'll go from paletas to churros. So should be a nice way to bring in the fall. And then also on the 18th opens up Photoville Festival, New York City. And that opens in all 5 boroughs. And we are thrilled to be a host site this year. We are going to be north of you guys. The exhibition will open between 102 and 100th on the Esplanade. And we have an amazing artist named Lola Flash. She's a photographer. She's an activist for communities of color, LGBTQIA+. And she's a brand new exhibition. And so we're really thrilled to be able to present her with Photoville, with Parks. And it will be free and open to the public from September 18th through December 1st. So take a walk on up to 100th Street. And while you're up at 100th Street, you'll find out that our bait station is there and is going to stay there. We came to an agreement with Parks, which is super exciting. So we're doing a little bit of repair work to it, but that will be up there for the foreseeable future. So that's really great news. And those are all my updates. If anybody has any questions, if any new people have questions about who we are, what we do, happy to answer them or have a conversation with you offline.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Stacey. And I have a couple questions, but I think we'll go to members of the public first. So Will, can you please unmute Barbara Goldenberg?
Hi there. I don't know if this is actually current business, but since you mentioned the Esplanade around 100 and 102nd Street, one of the, I walk there very frequently on my way over to Randall's particularly, and I've been watching it carefully over the last couple of years, hoping that there would be some indication of repairs done to the Esplanade. Everybody's seen all the, shall we say, the holes in the Esplanade, et cetera. And all I've seen is sort of the addition of chain link fencing. So I have a kind of multi-part question, which is, do we know anything about plans to make repairs to that part of the Esplanade, number one? Number two, as you have observed, I'm sure, there's now that because of the closing off of the Esplanade with the chain link fencing, a lot of the paths are basically dirt at this point. So what we saw particularly last winter, when it got cold and icy, et cetera, that turned to mud and it was just impassable. And sort of that was the end of that between the mud and the ice, et cetera. So my question is, one, do we know anything about any plans to make repairs? Number two, since I'm sure that's not happening in the very near future, who will take responsibility for ensuring that that stretch of the Esplanade remains passable during the bad weather?
Great questions, Barbara. So for the first one, plans for repairs. We met this summer with Manhattan Borough Parks Commissioner Liam Kavanaugh and talk to him about the mayor's announcement of the $284 million back in January, which is designated for Esplanade repairs north of 96th Street, which includes the stretch that you're talking about, and then as far up as 120th. And so the funding for the $284 million that the mayor announced in January was included in the fiscal 21 budget for the city. And so the Parks Department is going to have EDC, which is the Economic Development Corporation, manage that and manage the plans for the repair work for the Esplanade going north. And so north of 96th. And so our next meeting will be with EDC and Commissioner Kavanaugh and whoever else from Parks to talk about what the plan is, how they're allocating the funding, how they're allocating the work, and what their plan is to sort of do these repairs along with the repair work that they're doing up at Harlem Greenway Link. Because as you know, they've started up there. So are they going to marry them? What are they going to do? And that's what we'll figure out with our next meeting.
Okay, I'm sorry, your next meeting is, when is that?
We haven't planned it yet, but it was planned for after Labor Day. So we're going to work with EDC and Parks.
Okay. So then I guess my follow-up question will be, when you do have that meeting, is kind of who will take responsibility for ensuring that part of the Esplanade is usable, particularly over the winter when we have really bad weather, et cetera, because I'm sure they're not tackling it right away.
So I'll just jump in really quick and say that, I mean, Friends of the East River Esplanade are always a fantastic resource. They jump on things right away, but you can always also call our district office. You can always email me directly or reach out to Will. We go to Wes when there are issues, and I really have to give Parks credit here. They jump on things immediately, particularly when it comes to like something like an obstruction of some kind. In the past, when we've had issues with the Esplanade, and normally it's like an email chain with like Stacy, Wes, Ben Kalos's office on it, like maybe some Carolyn Maloney's office or something like that. And we like all pretty much jump on these issues right away. So Stacy, I mean, I don't know if you have any other suggestions. I don't know if you want everybody to complain to you directly about these things, but I do give credit to Parks for jumping on our issues.
Yeah, no, so I'm happy to talk to anybody who would like to talk about it, but it is the responsibility of Parks. Wes manages it, and there is a snow plan. So when it snows, it's every snowstorm is different, as I've learned from Wes. Every single snowstorm is different than the one before it. And sometimes snow gets compacted. Sometimes the water doesn't drain. Sometimes Mother Nature doesn't help because we don't have any warm weather, so nothing gets melted. So it's actual physical manual labor in order to remove the snow. So while it might not always be ideal, they're doing the best that they can. Wes can answer this more thoroughly. I know he's on the call tonight. I don't want to speak on his behalf. But Barbara, also for your information, as a Friends of group, we do not have responsibility. If there's an issue, you call 311. If there's an emergency, you call 911. We're sort of, an advocate for the Esplanade, an advocate for Parks and the work that they're doing, an advocate for all of the groups and for the community. We don't have direct responsibility, so I can't fully.
No, I'm sure I understand that, Stacy. I sort of was kind of throwing it out on the table in this venue because we're kind of on the subject. Who would we also speak to if they're like, which I'm sure you've seen, permanent kind of homeless encampments on the Esplanade?
So we've talked about this before. For other neighbors, frankly, they send them to me directly, or they send it to our district manager, Will, or Barry. For all of those things, it is not there. Everybody's completely at their, they are free to be on the Esplanade. They shouldn't be attaching any sort of like permanent fixture or putting up something. I've called Wes, or we've reached out to Ben Kalos's offices to do homeless outreach when we see that people are attaching fixtures to the Esplanade or that sort of thing, and they will go out there and do outreach as well. So just Will, if you don't mind putting your contact information in the chat, but it's just the best way to reach out and to have somebody go out there immediately. And particularly in the winter months when it gets cold, we've seen tremendous storms in the last 3 weeks. It's good to have homeless outreach go out there directly and engage with anybody who's out there on the Esplanade.
I mean, you've seen it, there's somebody who's kind of set up shop, using a barrier in that little carve out at 96th Street on the Esplanade, has been there for quite a while. So, nothing's been attached, but seems to be a fairly permanent
It's the best. It's a tough spot right over there. I know exactly where you're talking about. The best I think that our electeds can do is to continuously engage with that individual and try to get them into a better housing situation, to get them to engage with them and get them off that area, which is a really high traffic anyways and tough. So just continue. I really do. We have a couple of spots and people send me emails and whatever, and we send them off to the appropriate folks, be it parks or be it an elected's office to help with homeless outreach. Ben Kalos is a really good social worker who works in the office who I've worked with for years. So we kind of connect with her, and she also works with the team. But Will, if you don't mind putting your contact information in the chat for everybody so that everybody has the board office contact info.
Yeah, I'll put it in there.
That's very good advice. Sorry.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, and I'll just tell you it right now since I'm having some software issues. It's info, INFO, at C as in community, B as in board, the number 8, and the letter M like Manhattan.com. So info at CB8M.com.
Great.
Thank you, Will.
Thanks, Barbara. Can we go to Barbara Rudder and then Judy Schneider?
Can you guys, I cannot access Zoom right now to unmute anybody, so I'm going to leave and come back, and hopefully, but so you may need to wait a couple of minutes. I'm so sorry.
Okay. I guess if nobody else can be muted, then Stacy, if you're unmuted still, then I'm gonna unfortunately I'm gonna jump to my questions since I am unmuted, and we can keep on going. Have you guys? I'm so excited about these big belly trash cans, and I know how expensive they are. But we've talked about garbage on the Esplanade so much, and when they get overfilled, the garbage just goes right into the water, which is just so awful. And so I'm thrilled that you guys got 2 of these. Have you guys figured out or finalized locations for where you're going to put them?
No, so that's, I need to talk to Wes about that, because I know that he also was able to secure 2 other big bellies from another site. And so that means that we'll have 4.
Ooh, that's exciting.
I didn't want to give Wes's update if that's what, if Wes is giving that update, but since we're talking about it, so there will be 4, and then placement will have to be, it's not necessarily where the most use is. It's going to be partially that, but it'll also be access, because they are 50-gallon cans. Servicing them is a lot of manpower. And so once you've got those garbage and you've got that garbage bag, you need a dump spot. So where the garbage cans are placed, or the big bellies are placed, will be 2 factors. 1, use, well, 3, I suppose. 1, use, 2, actual room on the Esplanade. There are areas that are quite narrow. And then there's the access point for the construction crews. So that will have to be taken into consideration. And then thirdly, for the parks teams that have to service them, they need to be able to get to them, get the garbage out, and then carry a 50-gallon bag of garbage somewhere for pickup. So that all has to be taken into consideration. I'm sure there's a million other things that have to be taken into consideration that I haven't thought about that Wes will be able to tell you about.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I will just put in a plug again for this one, but 71st Street, I think, where that pedestrian walkway is. There's a trash can there. Stacy, I think you and I were cleaning it last time. It is just a mess in that spot. I think it's because everybody goes to the hospital, or they have a family member or a loved one there, and then they wait for their appointments to be over. And so they go sit on the Esplanade and eat, which is lovely, and what we'd love for them to do. That's the beauty of an open space. But then they just leave all of their garbage there. And we've talked to Wes about this before, but like when they clean, which I think is on Saturdays normally. And I know Renee is generally been, at least Renee is like the parks manager person who like does it in that section, but they never get that trash can because it's just like too far away from them for from ACOC, which is where they park their car. So I don't know about the access piece, and if it's still a problem, it's still a problem. But my one plug is that 71st Street at that trash can, it is just overflows all the time.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that makes sense.
May I jump in while Will was away? I was temporarily the host, and I unmuted Barbara. And
Oh, great.
after Barbara speaks, Judy Schneider is also unmuted.
Thanks, Barry.
I think I'm unmuted, right?
Yeah, you're
Yes,
good.
we can hear you.
Great. I have 3 quickies. First of all, thank you, Barbara, for the comments you made. I just want to say in terms of the homeless, it's a general problem. And don't you think I think calling 311 will bring somebody from Goddard or from Lenox Hill to try to work with it. It is a terrible problem. We all know, whether it's the Esplanade or the streets or wherever. So that's just one quick comment to make. Stacey, do I hear Commissioner Kavanaugh? I feel like I've been to sleep and woke up to a new world. What happened to Commissioner Castro?
Manhattan Borough Commissioner Kavanaugh. Did I not say that?
Yes, but wasn't it Castro before?
I don't know. Maybe I'm giving him the wrong title.
I think
You are.
it's a different title, Stacy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's the first deputy commissioner.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I thought I missed something.
Sorry.
I didn't
That's it.
retire and I never heard about it.
Sorry
Okay.
about that. My
Thank you.
apologies.
Okay, and just have another quick question. What did Ida do to the Esplanade? Anything? We know that it was terrible for the FDR Drive. Did it affect, ruin anything on the Esplanade?
As far as I could see, no, I was out there early in the morning. Wes's staff was out there picking up branches. I didn't see any new sinkholes or anything else pop up.
Great, that's great news.
I didn't see any water pooling anywhere except for the dog runs. The 2 dog runs had some water pools, but other than that, it seemed to be dry and in really, really good shape. And Wes's team was out there bright and early pulling up branches, and the pathways were clear by 9 a.m. Pathways were clear. There was not a single issue.
That's perfect. I saw a picture in Patch and it looked like the water spilled over from what I was able to see from the FDR Drive. So I'm very happy to hear that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I believe I'm unmuted too. So I'm glad it's a good question. So both INRAE and IDA, we inspected, well, basically when I say inspected, we visually looked over the whole pathway of the Esplanade. So we fared pretty well. I believe IDA was a little bit more than INRAE. We did get some water overspill. We did have some minor situations. One additional area that we have barricaded off, a small area, and that we'll be asking our engineers to inspect a little bit closer. But for the most part, it was mostly we had maybe some very small areas of erosion on the pathway where you did see water overflow. But I think we fared pretty well considering, how the rest of the city and how much rainfall we did get in a short amount of time for that. So we really checked all our properties. We had actually some damages at John Jay and some flooding at John Jay Park. But those issues have been addressed. Basically, the safety surface in one of our tot playgrounds was damaged, and the sandbox was flooded, and the MPP, the asphalt ball field there. But we've got those drained out, and we've got the safety surface repaired. And then we had some issues at Carl Schurz, just basically slow drains and a lot of muck and mud that washed over. We worked closely with the Conservancy. I can't say enough how much help they were, but we were all hands on deck after Ida and a thorough inspection of the entire District 8 and all of our parks and playgrounds, and staff worked some long hours and some extra hours trying to get it all cleaned up. But we really fared pretty well considering some of the losses that people had in New York City.
Oh, thank you. It's great.
Barbara Goldenberg, did you have another question?
Yes, I had a very quick garbage question since we were on the topic. Who is responsible for the garbage can that's on the 103rd Street footbridge over to Randall's? There's, as you come up the first one that you pass coming from the Manhattan side, it's frequently full to overflowing, and frequently there's garbage that as a result is strewn all across the footbridge.
It's a great question. I don't know.
And did you say on the footbridge? I'm not aware of one on the footbridge, or there, I know we have some inside the park at 103 Playground, but I'm not
There's
aware
actually,
of any.
yeah,
on the
there are
bridge.
two garbage cans on the footbridge. One closer to, when you come from the FDR, from the Esplanade. That's the first one, and that one is sometimes emptied and sometimes full to overflowing, so the garbage is, ends up all over the footbridge. There's also one that's closer to the Randall's Island Park end that tends to get better taken care of because there's Randall's staff in their little carts who can, kind of grab it. But they don't go on the other side of the footbridge and take care of that.
Wes, so she's talking about the garbage can when you're going up the footbridge before you turn right to go over the arch, over the river. There's a garbage can right there at the corner.
Okay, yeah, it sounds like it's ours. I'll talk to my crews. We'll keep a close eye on that one. It's probably, I definitely know if it's on the other side of the FDR, that is a difficult, challenging access area. But we'll take a look at that. I definitely know the other side is Randall's Island. They maintain that side. So if there's issues like that too, just reach out to us, let us know, and we'll address it. It is a little bit challenging, and sometimes people put a lot of garbage at one time, and various issues that have happened with our trash cans, but we'll address them. We're happy to take care of that.
Thank you. And Wes, that's your contact is the info email. Is that you?
No,
That's the community boards. That's the community boards email. That's Will Brightbill's email.
Okay.
Our district manager. So generally, we like everybody to go through the district office so that one, we can route it to the right people, but two, we can also be kept in the loop so that we can follow up and make sure that things don't get lost.
So I would communicate with Will on that.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Can I just ask before we move on from the Esplanade, and I see Charlie Whitman here. So it's good to see you, Charlie. But speaking of Charlie, the 81st Street ramp, Wes, it's been probably a couple weeks since I've been on that ramp. What's the status of that railing?
The railing was repaired for the most part at one point, and now it's been damaged again. So we do have another work request into our shops to repair it again. Obviously right now between the two storms though, our shop's trade staff have been very tied up, but we do have a work request in, and they'll get to it as soon as they can.
Okay. And the 79th Street landing, right when you go down the ramp, there's been a growing sinkhole there, as well as the one right next to the Con Ed building. Do we have any status on those two holes? I was thinking about them particularly for the storm.
We're monitoring that, and that was one of the places that we looked at very closely. I think we do have another small sinkhole developing in the area. It's something that we've mentioned to our engineers to try to look to see. They examined it one time before when they did some of the patchwork. But we're in conversation with our engineers to try to look at that and look at it closer. We did notice that's one area where we did see some more damage. We're not sure if that's coming from runoff from the FDR. I believe we were trying to get DEP to try to assist us in that, but we'll be addressing it. We are looking at it and structurally from all the angles there. So we're monitoring it very closely.
Okay. Barry, I think that we're, in terms of letters, I know we just said we were going to do a letter about the Rupert Park bathroom, but I feel like we said that we were going to do a letter about that 79th Street sinkhole, but maybe it's best to work with Friends of the East River Esplanade and our other stakeholders to do something jointly together, just trying to call attention to that. That one really makes me nervous. And maybe it would be a stronger letter. So if you if you're okay with it, and I think we already passed it in a past meeting saying that we wanted to do this. If you are leading on that letter about the bathroom, then I'm happy to lead on a letter about that sinkhole. And Stacy, maybe we can work with you guys and we can get multiple multiple group stakeholders to sign on to that. That one particularly with its proximity to the FDR makes me nervous.
Right. I agree with you.
Okay.
We need.
Great. Okay. Thank you so much, Stacy. Thank you. I wanted to say, it just seems like we have so many wonderful fall events going on in our parks, in our open spaces, particularly with the Esplanade. And I know Rita's got the event with Mick coming up in September. And I know Carl Schurz, I don't know actually if they're going to do the dog Halloween thing that they normally do, but it just seems like there's a lot going on. I was actually wondering, it feels like it would be fun to maybe do some sort of like parks calendar for CB8 with just like the fall stuff that you can do in the fall months. Also, I saw Judy Birdie on here earlier. There's a big arts festival in the open space on Roosevelt Island. What do you guys think about? I mean, I'm happy to draft something, but is this something that is worth our while?
Certainly. The St. Catherine's Park is going to have a movie later this month, sponsored by our council member, Ben Kalos. So we could put that on the calendar, be worthwhile getting the word out on that.
Might be kind of fun, I think.
Sure.
It's just been a rough year. So it might be nice to share with them all these events. So maybe Stacy, I'll follow up with you to make sure I have the dates, September 18th, October 2nd, 16th, 30th. If there's nothing else after that, if it's those four, and if you have any information about who's like for each one, who's performing. And then I know the Rita event is happening in the pavilion, and Barry, if you can get me yours, maybe we can just kind of like throw it all together and put it on a calendar. And
I would get in touch with Mubin of the.
Thank you.
Because they're always planning events, so let's get that in the calendar as well.
Yeah, it might be fun. I think it might be nice for us to.
And I could have your picture on the calendar.
Oh, no. That sounds great. Okay, cool. I think the next item is report from Wes Hamilton.
That's right. Go ahead, Wes.
Oh, great. And I'm already unmuted there. So it's very convenient. Good evening, everyone. It's good to see everyone. It's been a busy summer. It's been really busy. Our parks have been busier than ever. I know everybody, we say it regularly that our permit usage is up. It's even up higher than it always has been, especially now more than ever. We're seeing since the pandemic, we started seeing more people exercising out in the park, which is a good thing. And definitely now we're starting to see people start holding more events and birthday parties in our parks. And we're trying to keep up, as you can tell. But we're out there, our crews are out there working. We've also been dealing with a much wetter summer this year. So we've been challenged with some issues with as far as weeds and with the storms, with the Inray and Ida. But we've been plugging along. Our crews have been working hard and working steady. I'd like to mention too that at Haswell Green, there was a small jazz concert funded by Ben Kalos tonight, but they canceled that due to the weather concerns, and I believe that's rescheduled on Saturday. So that'd be a great opportunity for anybody to go down there and tie that in. And next week is the week after that is the East River Friends of East River events. So a lot of activities going on at Haswell Green. It's the last weekend for our pools. I think we're going to have a nice weekend. So I would encourage anyone who participates in our pools to go and enjoy your weekend there. And soon after that, we'll be closing our pools down, which ties us right into John Jay. We have proposed a project that will be beginning September the 20th. After the pool closes, they'll be beginning that project in the sitting area of John Jay. So that's on schedule. We recently opened up and completed 24 Sycamores Comfort Station. So that area is completely open, and we're really pleased with how it turned out. The brick, all the old paint was removed. It's down to the original brick, and it was repointed and remortared, and it looks brand new on the outside. But it's the actual old building as it was. We just got a I believe, a new roof. The interior is all redone, all new plumbing, all new fixtures, all new bathrooms inside, handicap accessible. So it's really nice. Bathrooms came out very well there. The asphalt areas around the spray showers and also the safety surface around the play equipment was also replaced. So hopefully we go out there, and as you go out there, you'll enjoy a nice new park, new facilities, but still looks the same. But so it kept its character, and it looks really nice. I'm really pleased with that. The other big announcement that I guess, unfortunately, I have to tell everyone, but I am being reassigned to Riverside Park, and I wanted to make sure that everybody knows that I'll still be trying to help as much as possible. I will be coordinating you with, we have a manager who's already going to be replacing me. We are going to try to make this transition as smooth as possible. I just recently got the news, so not everybody knows about it. But I will make sure that all the friends groups, the community board, has her contact, and she's experienced. She's not new. She's been around the block as well too. They're moving a few managers around just for experience, and I'll be one of those managers going over to the west side. But Sheena Kaufman, who's been the manager in the north, Harlem, and Tom Jefferson, so she's very familiar with the Esplanade. She deals with the Esplanade as well. She also grew up in District 8, right across, right near St. Catharines. So I'm very confident she's going to be very helpful to you guys. I've enjoyed working with everyone. It's been a great pleasure. And I will still have the same contact information and willing to help any way I can possibly. So that's the big news I have for me, and that's most of the updates that I can provide tonight.
Well, we're going to miss you. You've done a great job. You've been a real asset to the Parks Department and to the community board. We greatly value your work here, and we wish you luck up at Riverside.
Well, thank you very much. And like I say, I'll make sure that all our friends groups, with Rupert and Stacy and everyone else that we've dealt with, have good contacts and good communication. And I think that's the thing that's been the key, working with the community and with Parks Department. And you're more eyes and ears. I mean, we have very limited resources and staff. Our job is to try to utilize them best we can. And your information is actually very helpful to us. So we want to keep that up, and we'll make sure that we transition very smoothly.
Thank you.
Judy, and then Barbara.
Well, Wes, we're sorry to lose you. I know you'll enjoy Riverside Park. When will you be leaving? Do you have a date, or are you already gone?
No, not gone yet. And, as I never say goodbye, I always say see you later. And I've been in many different assignments in the Parks Department. I believe I haven't got official word yet, because I said we just got some of this information and a heads up. But if I'm not mistaken, I believe the tentative date is September 27th. I'll probably be taking a long weekend. My son's birthday's coming up. So basically got about a week left, and I'll be focusing a lot of that time working with Sheena and making sure that she's up to speed with everything that's going on in the district. So we'll be very busy with that as we transition from summer into fall and ready for winter, which our crews were already looking forward into that for snow operations. But I'll be very tied up with that issues. But again, too, like I say, I'm going to make sure that she's got contacts and she knows she can contact me with something as well as anyone here. So I think it'll be a very good, positive move for everyone involved, and it's a little experience for her and for myself as well. So again, I can't stress how much fun it's been and how much everyone here has been helpful. So I know everyone will continue that, and it'll be like, a couple of years you'll be like, Wes who. So,
no, we'll never be that way. Two other things. One, you said they're beginning September 20th on John Jay. Do you have any kind of estimated completion date?
I look on our website. I believe they have, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm quoting by the top of my head, I can't remember if it's 1 year. Generally, our contracts are 2 years, but they expect that one to move pretty quickly. I could update. Let me check with our capital team, and I can update the board for official
Okay.
time frame.
If you would let us know. And I've been to 24 Sycamores Park, and I just have to say they did an absolutely fantastic job. I recommend everybody go see the upper level of the park with the new park house, and they painted the flagpole, and it looks absolutely very inviting. And if you want to see what a park house should look like, that's the place to go to. Thank you.
I would agree. Thank you, Judy.
Barbara?
Well, I want to echo, thank you, Wes, for all you did. Maybe we'll hear about Commissioner West one day, but anyway, thank you very much. 2 quick questions. I don't know if Stacy is first on. Very quick one. What's happening with the exercise equipment on the Esplanade? Anything at all? I forgot to ask Stacy.
On the Esplanade? On the
Yeah.
Esplanade?
Yeah.
I don't have any updates at this time. I do know that we're looking at all of our exercise equipment in all of the districts, but I don't have any updates specifically to the Esplanade at this time.
We had presentations from the friends about it. The other one that I had asked about that we talked about in July, I guess, I don't think Craig Later's on, the 2 of us were talking about it. Why are there these barriers in Cultures Park? It's so, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I went the wrong way and had to go all the way back because I couldn't get past it. And I've seen people with walkers that had to go down to 84th Street because it was closed. What is the problem? Can't be the Black Lives Matter, the 5 people that show up every night, can it?
No, that's not it. And I'm glad you bring that up. So it's important, and we should discuss it. But it's not parks. It's NYPD. It's not due to necessarily like any Black Lives Matters. It's more of a security detail, and based upon the threats that the mayor may give, being that he lives there and his family is there. They have it varies, and it's kind of fluid and flexible right now. At one time, they had a larger perimeter, and it was pretty, not flexible at all. They wouldn't allow people to pass.
It was
but
locked.
They generally are
Literally
allowing
had
people to
locks in
pass
it.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I had said, can't you move it
people
for this
now.
woman? And they said, no, it's all locked and we don't have the key.
That was during a time they recently had, and again, they loosen it occasionally, but if they get threats, then they put them back up. Or if the mayor is coming and going out of the driveway. So that's more, but currently right now, and again, it changes, it's based upon NYPD, but they have been allowing passage from East End Avenue and also crossing in front of Gracie Mansion to go to the North Lawn. But unless he's passing by, or if they feel that they have a credible threat, and it depends on what that is. I mean, recently with the announcement of vaccinations and stuff of that nature, he does sometimes get some threats. So that's a detail that that PD handles, and Parks is not going to get in PD's way in that area. But we agree, and they do, if they do allow some people to use the mayor's lawn area and stuff of that nature. And again, it's based upon the timing and what they see is or what they're dealing with at the time.
Every time I'm there, which isn't every day, it's not always the same, but it's a very large perimeter that's closed off and really limits access to the park. So you're saying it's PD, so I guess that we can't beat you up too much, Wes. I'm glad about that, but I will continue complaining because I am somebody that uses the park and makes the wrong turns that I can't get out. I forget. I have to go all the way back the other way.
And I will say that we have talked to them, and they do try to, soften it wherever they can. At one time, they had pulled them back closer to the mansion. And again, like I said, it varies from day to day, but to today they were allowing passage for the last few days. They've been allowing passage to go back and forth again, unless somebody's coming or going. But they generally allow people to go inside of the barricades on the lawn areas as well, unless they have a concern, or if there is when they do have protesting, then they will keep that out there a little bit, regardless what the protesting is. But it's
so you're saying, yeah, there are barricades on the lawn. I just assumed they couldn't be used. So people are allowed to break the barricades to get into the lawn?
It depends on the circumstances and the threats that they feel like they're at. So
there's nothing more I could say, except I think it's awful. This is our park.
Right.
And,
it's,
and he's 6'2" with a big ball around him, and people that object to vaccinations can't be that big of a threat. Anyway, I won't say anymore. Except when I have to go all the way back to 84th Street, you'll hear some 4-letter words, but anyway.
Well, don't make them close the barriers, because they don't want them to take you as a threat either. But
I have talked to a police about it. By the way, there's like 2 or 3 of us that stopped and said, "Why is this?" And he said, "I don't know. The mayor is nervous about things." I mean, he was not complimentary. So whatever.
I have to say that it's not necessarily the mayor. The one thing that the mayor is not in charge of is sometimes his own security detail. It is the people who are entrusted to protect the mayor who make those decisions.
I won't take up any more time. I got it.
Thank you,
tell you all
Barbara.
my 4-letter words.
Thank you, Barbara.
I think we'll go to Stacy and then Barbara and then Rita.
So I'm just going to answer Barbara's question about the fitness equipment. We have not abandoned that plan.
Right.
We're still working on coming up with another area, another section, revamping our idea a little bit. So it's not completely abandoned yet. We'll bring it back up again when we have a new, more viable plan.
Great. Barbara Goldenberg and then Rita.
Yes, I just, in terms of the barriers, I don't want to beat that proverbial dead horse, but just in the last month or so, they've added barriers. There were the barriers that sort of ran, along Gracie around the mansion, and then they just added barriers around another whole area.
So sorry, folks, I just want to pause for 1 second, just to let you know, Will texted me saying his Zoom crashed. So if this meeting crashes, just so you know, my plan is to relog back in. You can as well. We don't have much left to talk about, but I will relog back in. But Barbara Goldenberg, please continue. Just to warn you, Will, you're back on. I just warned everybody that your Zoom crashed. So just in case this meeting gets cut off, I'm going to log back in afterwards. Go ahead, Barbara.
Thank you. And thanks for your patience. I first of all want to say that it's been very helpful having the signs that have been added, asking people to walk their bikes, etc. There's not 100% compliance, but I would say it's, reasonably good. It would be nice if there were some way to enforce it apart from, kind of peer pressure, but, that was definitely a good step in terms of managing the bike traffic. I do have a question about which I think came up at a prior meeting, about the sort of motorcycle vehicles that are zooming around on park paths, etc. I happen to see them a lot on Randall's, but not exclusively there. So I wanted to know kind of what the rules are about that. I mean, I know e-bikes are okay, and that's fine, and like scooters and so forth. But these are, kind of major vehicles.
Can we unmute Wes, please? Oh, I don't think that. Barry?
I don't think I've got the.
No, Wes, you should be able to unmute.
I did. Thank you. Sorry, I accidentally muted myself and couldn't unmute myself. Thank you. Motorized bikes are not allowed on the park paths or the bikeways. The e-bikes really kind of fall into that category. Enforcement is challenging, and especially with the parks, we try to really educate as much as possible over enforcement. But even with PD, they're having some of the same issues with this. So, when is something okay? I mean, a young child riding on a bike with his family or riding on an e-bike, that's not, chasing after them. Or I think PD was here one time, and I think they said it best. It's really about the speed. So even if it's not electric, even if it's not motorized, there needs to be some kind of speed limit, and that could be enforced to some degree. In some of our areas, it's very challenging to access it, which also makes it challenging. But we do sometimes we work closely with PD and our PEP. And Sheena's also got some experience with that, who will be coming here because she manages a lot of the northern sections. And I know that they've done some policing in that area with our PEP, specifically for motorcycles. I've even seen motorcycles going down the Esplanade, and I've even had someone hit me. So we all know it's an issue that needs to be addressed, but it is a challenging thing to address. So we are working and coordinating with both our PEP officers and NYPD to try to address them best we can.
Okay, thank you. We'll go to Rita, then Craig.
Wes, I just want to echo everybody's congratulations to you. You've got a fabulous park over there. You've made us so incredibly good on this side. You've got a promise to come back when Rupert Park is completed, because you and your staff have done a marvelous job. Coming back to just what you discussed, Wes, we discussed this in the Transportation Committee, that obviously the powers that be realize that there is a problem with scooters that look like motorcycles, motorcycles that look like scooters, the whole 9 yards. The bad thing is that first these vehicles were introduced, and then they're going to tell them how they're going to use it. It should have been the other way around. In this case, the tail wags the dog. So you have to unwag it, and whatever it is, it'll take a while, but they are aware, the city is aware that there is a problem.
Thank you, Rita, and I agree, and thank you for the compliments. And I promise everyone, can't wait to come back and see Rupert, and I'll probably be checking in on his progress, as well as many other things that we've worked in. And I'll be visiting the sites, and may even see me again on the Community Board 8 meetings, just to see how it's going. And we never know. I could be back. It's a reassignment. So wherever the chiefs need me, that's where I go. But I would agree. I think it's a citywide issue, and trying to have consistency enforcement. And I think probably as we move into new mayors and new enforcement, which, I think it'll be one of the topics that'll have to be picked up and addressed citywide for those issues. I mean, it's just very complicated. And like you say, what's the best way to go about it? But I think it's a problem that we've had on bike paths, parks. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, somebody was actually killed on the west side on the street where somebody ran into him. And that's the problem. I had somebody run into me. They're wearing a helmet and I'm not. So, that's the concern. We do take it seriously. It is one of the challenges that we have to try to address and try to come up with something consistently that works.
Craig?
Hi, everyone. First, Wes, congratulations and good luck with Riverside Park. But love Riverside Park myself. Wish I could spend more time there. But I want to just comment on Carl Schurz Park, and just, Barbara, yes, I did hear your comments. I appreciate you relaying that and what you said. I guess where I'm still confused when it comes down to the access to Carl Schurz is I don't understand what changed between May 2020 and now that we still have the gates up and the barriers up at 88th Street. So I guess I appreciate that there are security concerns, and I understand that that is an NYPD or Gracie Mansion security unit issue, but it still baffles me to understand, and I don't understand why, if it isn't concerned with Black Lives Matter protests or protests in general, why we're still in this situation right now where there's restricted access. And it may only be a block, and yes, you may still have access to the lawn, but for people that are coming from north of 88th Street and are looking for easy access to that area and quicker access to the Esplanade, especially people who are mobility challenged, like people who I'm very close with in my family who had an extra block as a burden to walk, it's really frustrating, and I really wish we could get some answers from whoever the powers may be here, assume NYPD, as to what the situation is and when it may change, or some explanation as to what the real concern is, because something isn't adding up. So I just wanted to make that point. Not to just complain, but I feel like I'm complaining, so I apologize for that. And I apologize also for signing in late to the meeting, Barry and Tricia. Circumstances just resulted in that. So sorry, and thank you.
Well,
It's been
thank
a
you,
long
Greg.
time. It's been a long time with this. I 100% agree. I think that we need to I don't know, Barry, I don't know if you think it's better to go. Is it the 19th that looks, or is it a specific?
I'm sure it's the mayor's security detail, not on the 19th. However, this coming Monday night, the 19th precinct is holding its community advisory committee meeting. And I urge everyone to attend. I shall attend, and I'll raise the question about these barriers being persistent in Carl Schurz Park and see if they can kick it up the ladder somewhat to get to 1 pp. But our voice has to be heard, and that's probably the best way to get it heard publicly in the next 5 days.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Moving along, I have an addendum to Wes's report. We had written to the folks over at Roosevelt Island regarding the Tramway Plaza elevator project, and they sent the following note to us. The Manhattan area tramway station project is being constructed in 2 phases. Phase 1 of the project, the east elevator, is underway after a long delay due to COVID-19 and receiving the glass. We're making great progress. The project advanced steadily over the summer, bringing phase 1 of the project to about 95% completion as we await regulatory approvals that would allow us to open this project to the public. The existing west elevator will then be demolished in phase 2. A new platform for the west elevator and remaining cab work will then be completed during phase 2. And this phase is anticipated to be completed by the end of the year, meaning we should have getting our park back in the year 2022. And that's the report from Tramway Plaza elevator project.
Thank you. I'm sorry, we missed Valerie Penn for a comment. I think it may be about when for Wes. Valerie, go ahead.
No, actually, I just wanted to pin in case we did all get cut off, because you said there wasn't that much more yet because a few of us are on here with a little bit of new business. So I don't want to jump around, but I just want to respectfully pin that we will have new business when the time comes.
No problem.
The time is almost here. We're going to pick up on old business now, and then we'll get to new business. Any old business issues that call to our attention, please raise your virtual hand. Will, do you see any virtual hands?
No, none at all.
Okay. Then, Tricia, why don't you handle new business? Because I think you have some item in there that you're concerned about.
We just have I have a small happy thing at the end, but Valerie, please go ahead and take it away.
Thank you. So first of all, this is my first time, I think a lot of our first time on this meeting. And I think that we're all very impressed and very appreciative of all of the hard work that you do to make our very, very important park and recreation and waterfront centers work well in our lives. So thank you all for that. you have a very nice, operation mechanism here. So I appreciate that. So we wanted to open a dialogue, and you touched on this with the Rupert Park. I represent some of the dog owners that like to frequent John Jay Park, and I know that you are aware probably of some of the differences of opinion with, people that are looking for a place to exercise their dogs, especially in the morning, early and at night. During COVID, the city has really increased its dog population. It's unbelievable. I think that there's 1 million new dogs, and those are just the ones that have applied for licenses. And frankly, the dog parks that already exist are, a little far apart from the very east side, like near that John Jay area. Or there's no off-leash ability. Schurz Park, the little dog run is very small and often very crowded, and the big dog run, it's not so close for some of us, but also it can get quite dirty, and some dogs have picked up some diseases just because of the nature of the ground lay there. So we were hoping to open a dialogue about either converting part of the John Jay facility or finding somewhere else in that immediate area that might be available. I know that's like a big, a big wish, but we just learned about the reconstruction, the renovations that are going to occur. I know that you're going to rip up the exercise area and maybe expand towards the pavilion building. I'm not really sure. But if there's any way that we can discuss with people that are charged with planning that, and what do we need to do, I guess is my question. And then can we have that dialogue?
Yeah. I want to respond, but I see Samantha's hand is up, so we'll give it to Samantha first. Okay. I'm guessing to add on to this.
Yes, I just wanted to vocalize my support for everything that Valerie has said, and I think you would find we are quite a large community, even in just that particular area. Even if you look, say, at the few buildings that surround John Jay Park alone, the dog population is significant. And I find that in all spaces in life, when people aren't given an allocated space or time, because I think we could also consider use of whatever space you plan to have, but have a designated set of hours as well where dog owners would be allowed to go, just like Central Park and various parks in the city. That it creates, a negative back and forth between people that are given the entitled space, because it seems as though by automatic nature, the people that haven't been entitled to the space, like people with dogs, are thus excluded. And, we have experienced a lot of that in the park, and we just want to be able to have a space where we can go and enjoy time with our family as well. And for some of us, that's our pets, and, not children.
Thank you. We'll do Leo and then Lana.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we're good.
So I'm Gene Lee. I would also echo support for that. I mean, I've lived in New York for over 2 decades. I just moved to this area, and I am very impressed with what you've done with the park. So thank you. I mean, I've lived from Tribeca to Midtown East. Having only lived here for a year, I mean, I would imagine, and I was looking for the stats and couldn't find it, but I would imagine the density of dogs is probably one of the highest in the neighborhood compared to the other neighborhoods here. Crossroads is a great park. The small park is fine, but for people that have medium to large size dogs, I mean, my dog was one of them that's gotten sick twice there. And I don't know if it's a bacteria, and that met several dog owners. So John Jay, for us, one, obviously the proximity, but I guess what I'm asking for is if we find another designated area or be able to have access, when kids are not using it, after sunset or something reasonable is something that would be great. I mean, I think it's a fantastic community, but it would just, that's just something I guess I'm saying in support. So thank you.
Thanks. And then Lana.
Yeah, we just wanted to show our support as well, and just exclaim how supportive we are of the whole team here. You guys clearly do an unbelievable job at keeping our parks, very beautiful, and especially in this area. And we just wanted to support Valerie and everyone else from our little group down at John Jay Park that really benefits so much from our opportunity to spend with the dogs, and the dogs get to really benefit from being able to hang out with all the other dogs. So just wanted to mention.
Great. Thank you, guys. So first of all, welcome. I thought that you all were new. I haven't seen you before, but it's nice to meet more neighbors. I live on 72nd Street, right at First in York. So I know, and I take my 2-year-old to John Jay every day. He goes to school on 76th Street. So we're there every day. So I know very well that you don't have many options in terms of where you take your dogs. I think it's literally over a half-mile walk to Carl Schurz, which for a lot of people is way too far. And I also unfortunately know that the use of John Jay has been really troubled. Barry and I have had a lot of emails from people who have been bitten by dogs, from bad altercations from people from dog owners and families, and it's really rough. Excuse the pun. That sounds like a Barry joke.
Rough.
So you're absolutely right. It's a tough situation, and I can only imagine that dog ownership has gone up during the pandemic. I'm sure that there's some sort of like true statistic to that. We need to have a bigger discussion about it in order for anything to be discussed like this, where this is your first meeting. Welcome. So generally when something like this can come up, where you would expect to have some sort of resolution coming from a committee that then gets passed on to the full board, and the full board would vote on a resolution. And then that resolution, which is generally advisory only, gets sent off to whatever city agency or whatever appropriate government body is overseeing that. So oftentimes our resolutions go to parks. Sometimes they go to community board members, or to our city council member, or to our borough president, or something like that. So that's generally, tonight you didn't see any resolutions come forward, but that's how this kind of works. For any sort of thing like this, where we know that there's going to be a lot of stakeholders who are really interested in giving their opinions, we would have to put it on our agenda beforehand and then post it, where we put up posters in the neighborhood. We put them up at John Jay so that we get everybody to come up, and so that we knew that when we passed a resolution, if we passed a resolution, that it would be representative of what everybody everybody had a chance to weigh in. So you did the exact right thing in coming and putting it under new business. Barry and I will go back and talk about when we can put this on our agenda. I don't even know if I don't even know if we could put it on and say for right now that we'd be talking about specifically using John Jay in that way, or if it's just a broader conversation about the increased dog ownership and how to help serve our neighbors with pets in this area who don't really have a dog run, and to kind of brainstorm about other locations. But I guess next steps, so you understand, would be for Barry and I to talk about when we could put this on the agenda. As long as you're signed up for our emails, we would send you an email out when it was posted, so you could have plenty of time. You'd see posters around the area, and then we'd have a kind of formal conversation. And from that, it could be where we don't come to any sort of conclusions, or we come up with a letter, or we come up with a resolution, or whatever it is. But I personally understand this the situation, because it's my backyard, and we're there all the time. Valerie, you wanted to respond?
I just wanted to ask if a petition would help, a certain amount of signatures from dog owners, or you kind of already know and assume that every dog owner in the neighborhood would like this.
You don't have to convince me. I've been talking about the fact that we don't have a dog run in this area for quite a bit of time. I don't think that we need a petition to get on the agenda, Barry, to talk about this. So that's certainly where we're going to go. I would honestly, sometimes what makes me nervous, frankly, about a petition would be that everybody would want a certain thing. Like everybody would want John Jay to be open at a certain time, or they would like all rally around a certain issue before we even kind of assessed all possibilities here. Frankly, and I shouldn't even say anything, but there's I've been looking at a couple other locations in our general vicinity thinking why don't we have more open space here? But I shouldn't even say that because somebody's going to be mad at me because I suggest something that it's right next to their home or something. But I might wait on the petition until we actually understand what are the options. Charlie? Sorry, Charlie, you're not muted. You are muted.
There you go.
Okay, thanks. I was one of the persons that were originally in the design where the park was discussing the design, and there were a lot of competing groups. There was one group that wanted one group for seniors, or people that wanted a quiet area. The area, the one concern I've got, the big concern is this area is the size of a postage stamp. It's the only area, John Jay Park, that is truly what I consider a park within that area, because just about everything else is playground and pools and ball courts. So you're trying to make an area that's small into something I felt that was green, that was serviceable to people for quiet enjoyment. You had people that wanted to exercise. There's some exercise capabilities there, and the two major concerns, I think, were that people were trying to bicycle through there, and you wanted to be able to prevent throughput, if you will, because you wanted it as a quiet area. And the second thing was the concern that if you put in a lot of the good shrubbery, that was an attraction, again, for the dogs. So I guess looking at such a small area, if you put it in a sense of scale, if I look at the dog run up at Carl Schurz Park, and I'm just ballparking this, and you're looking at the postage stamp area that's being redesigned, I would guess that 1/3 of the area would probably have to be changed if you wanted it for dogs.
Let me just one second, Charlie. Sorry to interrupt you. I don't want us to go down the path of us speculating. Let me just be super clear. The sitting area at John Jay is already planned. They are breaking ground in 2 weeks time. That section is set. Unfortunately, that is that, not unfortunate, but for however you feel about it, that sitting area is planned out and set. I don't want us to go down that space would be, that space is viable, that space is not, because frankly, if I had it my way, we would have been doing something different to Rupert, and whatever. So I want to give you your time back to speak, but I don't want us to go down this whole that space. You don't have to worry about that sitting area. That space is already set. We already that battle's done. I don't want to bring that back up again. That one's done. I want us to, but I do acknowledge very much so that there's a serious need that's not being met. And I truly understand that. Go ahead, Charlie.
No, I think, listen, I appreciate it too. I mean, I understand the concerns of the people with dogs and with pets. I mean, things keep changing. And the problem we have is, whether it's parking your car and suddenly there are 20% more people have purchased cars as a result of COVID instead of, using public transport. So you have a parking space problem. And so there are various spillovers that have happened from COVID, including people wanting more pets. And I appreciate the need to accommodate some of these things, but I guess looking at the existing spaces, since you're always working incrementally in such small spaces, I was concerned more about that space and its use. The accommodating or, understanding the need for dogs to have spaces and the dog owners, I understand that as well. So I'll back off and just, I said my piece.
Thank you, Charlie.
Yes, Samantha.
To your point, I don't think our desire is not to try and derail any plan or any, rehome anything else. We just want people to keep an open mind. You know, the playgrounds, for example, in John Jay Park are, if the sitting area is a postage stamp, it's 4 postage stamps. And as is the tennis courts, and there's also an opportunity for simply prior to 9 a.m. and after 8 p.m. type of things as well. So just any sort of consideration would be helpful. Those are hours when there isn't anyone else there, really, sans maybe 3 people. So, you know, I encourage anyone also, as you look into this, to come out to John Jay Park during those times and maybe see what our community is like as well.
Yeah.
Okay, Samantha, thank you. I'd like not to continue discussing whether we're going to discuss this, and we're going to put it on the agenda, as Tricia said, and you'll have a full opportunity for all the members of the community who want to get involved to come out and talk with us and encourage us to hear their point of view. We shall do that, but not tonight. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us, and I'll turn it back to Tricia, who has at least one more new business item.
It's kind of newish, it's kind of old, but Will, can you bring up the picture? And thank you guys all for coming. It's lovely to meet you. I hope you all come again. It really does. Our work, the work of the community board gets better when we have more people involved. It does nothing for the same, 10 people to sit around and talk about what we want. So thank you for coming, and I hope you come again.
I have one more thing before we end the meeting, but go ahead, please. With
Will, can you just pull up the picture? Oh, I don't know. I hope Will can.
He's saying 1 minute.
Okay. So I'll just share with you. It's going to be the dramatic reveal was just going to be that today I went to a groundbreaking ceremony for Central Park, the Conservancy. So I wanted to share with you a picture. I took one, and I'm not that good of a photo taker, but you could really see that they're finally kind of breaking ground and making some moves to change the space. It was exciting, and our borough president was there, as well as other electeds. But to see that space and to see, I told Lane that I thought that they should take that mangled metal and turn it into artwork, because it looks kind of artistic and cool and big. You can see for scale, but they're breaking ground at the Conservancy. This kind of starts the clock. 2024, I know, feels like a long time away, but you all have been on this committee for a long time, so you know that's just unfortunately how long these projects are taking. But it's exciting, and more to come.
It's at the Harlem Mere, the north part of the park, including
110th,
including the pool. It's going to be a marvelous transformation. Thank you, Patricia, for doing that.
That's it, Barry, for me. Go ahead.
Very quickly, we'll put up on the chat the link to get on to the 19th Precinct Community Council meeting tomorrow, Monday night at 7 o'clock. So click on the chat and click on the link, and you'll have all the information you need to join the 19th Precinct Community Council. We'll discuss the fencing in Carlshreds Park.
Okay.
Tricia, that may have been the last word. Have you one more thing to say?
Nope.
I think that then with this, what we want to say is we move to adjourn.
Move to adjourn. Thanks. Sorry.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you all for coming. It's a delight to see all these new faces. Please come back again.
Thank you, Wes.
Wes, congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, all the best to you, Wes.
Enjoy working with Dan.
We'll see you soon. Thank you.
Bye all.